So this is 7-3, continued. And we are going to talk about one that maybe looks like this. Let's say I have, here's example number 1. I have the integral of e to the x sine x dx. All right, so I personally like to use my sine because it's easier for me to do the derivative out of my trig, and it's easier to do the antiderivative of e. So I like sine to be my u and my e to the x dx to be my dv. So I'm going to say my u is sine x, my dv is e to the x dx, so my v is simply e to the x, and my du is cosine x dx. So we do it by parts to begin with. We have u times v, or e to the x sine x, minus the integral of v du, e to the x cosine x dx. Move this up a little bit, not quite that far. There we go. All right, so everybody's clear there, right? Now, what we did yesterday is sometimes you have to do the second one again. So we're going to do the same thing. I'm going to do a u and a v. I'm going to do it the same way. I'm going to use my u as cosine x, and my dv is going to be e to the x dx. So v is just e to the x, and du is negative sine x dx. So right now, and I'm going to kind of move, so I can move this up, I have the integral of e to the x sine x dx equals e to the x sine x. That's what we had to begin with. Minus. Now we're going to do the next part, and I'm going to put it in parentheses. Move this up a little bit. We have u times v, or e to the x cosine x, minus the integral of v du, e to the x sine x dx, but that's minus right there, so it's plus. Right? Everybody see that? Let me write that a little better. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and distribute my negatives through my parenthesis there. So I have e to the x sine x minus e to the x cosine x minus the integral of e to the x sine x dx. What do you notice about this last integral we got? Look at our original one. It's exactly the same, isn't it? So I'm going to actually add this integral to both sides. I'm going to add it to this side. So what I have right now is two of these, right? Two integrals of e to the x sine x dx equals e to the x sine x minus e to the x cosine x. Because I added that same integral, they're both identical, added them together. Now, if I want to solve for it, the only thing I have to do is divide by that coefficient on my integral. So I'm going to divide both sides by 2. Cancel out, and I put plus c. So when you get back to the original integral, you can add it to the other side, and then just divide by that coefficient, and you're done. All right, so we're going to try one more. So any questions before we try the next one? No, we're okay? Okay. So example number 2. We have the integral. And let's do e to the negative x cosine x dx. All right. So we're going to make my u cosine x and my dv e to the negative x dx. So my du is negative sine x dx, and my v is negative e to the negative x. All right. So we have u times v, or negative e to the negative x cosine x, minus the integral of v, negative e to the negative x, times du, which is negative sine x dx, which is going to make that a positive. So we all okay? All right, now we're going to do the same thing again, right? So this time my u is going to be sine x, and my dv is going to be e to the negative x dx. So du is cosine x. My v is e to the negative x. So I have equals. I'm going to bring this first part down. Negative e to the negative x cosine x minus, and make a parenthesis. This is where we do u times v, or e to the negative x sine x, minus the integral of v du. Yeah. It should be negative. Yeah, it should be. It absolutely should be. So this should be negative right here, and this one should be negative. Absolutely, you're correct. Thank you. All right, so we're all good right here? So now I'm going to go ahead and I can bring this negative out, right? So it's going to make this a positive. This is a positive. Now I'm going to go ahead and distribute that negative that's in front of my parentheses. So right now this whole expression I have, move that up so you can see it, is negative e to the negative x cosine x plus e to the negative x sine x minus the integral of e to the negative x cosine x dx. And that equaled the integral of e to the negative x cosine x dx. So now what's my next step? Add it over. So I'm going to add this integral to both sides. Right, so these are gone. So I have 2 integral e to the negative x cosine x dx equals negative e to the negative x cosine x plus e to the negative x sine x. And then I'm going to divide both sides by 2. And then put plus c. Well, that's just saying what this equals. Yeah. Because you added it to the other side. That's what it just started off as. This equals that. Okay? So on your worksheet, there's a little bit tougher one. The only time that this coefficient or the coefficient here might be different is there's times where we have numbers that end up in front if we have like a u substitution or something, right? If we had like sine 3x, that means we're going to have a 1/3 in front. So there might be other things that happen with the coefficient. So I'd like to do one that's on your worksheet together, okay? And then we'll let you get started on the rest of them. So 1 second, let me hand this out.